I'm Sue Abrahamson. I'm the children's librarian at the Waupaca Public Library, and I am so proud that to call Waupaca my small hometown.
Well, welcome, Sue. How are you doing today?
I am great. It's
Good.
hot outside, but cool inside, so lots of kids are finding us already.
So I'm wondering, how did you become a librarian, and how long have you been a librarian for? Because I've known you for quite a while, and you've been the main librarian in the children's department for quite a while in Waupaca.
Exactly. I met a young woman the other day who said, "I don't think I have a library memory without you being in it." I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or not, but I took it as one, so we'll see. I actually fell into librarianship quite by accident. I was not a reader as a child. In fact, when my brother gave me a book for my 13th birthday, I threw it back at him and said, "What kind of present is this?" It was terrible. I was rude and nasty. I read my first book for pleasure after I got out of college, and I got the reading bug. And this is one of the things librarians will tell you. The biggest joy they have is connecting the right kid with the right book, because once you find that right book, then you become a reader. And I love nonfiction. I devour nonfiction. I just love it. So I really became a reader while my kids were becoming readers. And that was a really great opportunity for me to volunteer at the library. Then it was way down where the Holly History Center in Waupaca is now. And I was the president of the Friends of the Library, and we had book sales, and I volunteered for the 4th of July parade units and things like that. And before you knew it, I was working there part-time. And then a full-time job opened up, and I got that. And then unfortunately, my predecessor fell ill and needed to leave work. And I thought, well, they know my skill set. I'll see if I can get the job. And then I became children's librarian, and I've been here for 26 years.
Wow.
I know. So Joe, you're right. When you say I'm the only children's librarian, you probably know.
So would you consider your job to be just finding your dream job by accident, because you've stuck with it for so long and you seem to still enjoy it so much? Would you not replace this job for anything?
At this point in my life, no, I really have found the sweet spot. I found a place where my love for people and my love for kids and finding the right job as a public servant. This is the right job for me. A lot of people go into librarianship and they're introverts. They're quiet. They love books. Oftentimes people who apply for a job here will tell me, "I even love the smell of books." And which is great, because books are wonderful. But you really have to love people first. This is a people job. It's a customer service job. And oftentimes people will come in and they're not quite asking the right questions to get the information they need. And you've got to have this detective brain to kind of ask follow-up questions and really get to what it is, the heart of the matter that they're looking for. And so as a people person and as a collaborator, I found that librarianship is a wonderful occupation, and I can like books too.
You mentioned you enjoy reading. What are 2 or 3 of your favorite books?
Oh man, right now it's always the book I'm reading right now, right? Because every book is so different. I just started a book, an Asian American book about a young girl who comes to Minnesota to visit her grandparents and ends up staying because her grandfather falls ill. And so it's an immigrant story, but not an immigrant in the way that this is a first generation immigrant. This is a young Chinese American girl who is facing some adversity because of her ethnicity in a small town in Minnesota. And it's a fascinating look at, empathizing how someone else can be marginalized without real cause. So it's called Maisie Chen's Last Chance, and I'm reading it right now, and it's very, very good. And I just finished a young adult novel called All My Rage, which is really an excellent book with a lot of topics. Our teen librarian does a great job of getting some wonderful books for young people. So yeah, that would be a whole nother podcast, Tim. We could talk for hours about great books.
Dad, what are some of your favorite books?
I like Into Thin Air by John Krakauer. It made me both want to climb Everest and also terrified me at the same time.
Great survival story, though.
Oh wow, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And all the loss of all those top-rated climbers and all
Yeah.
that. Just an incredible book. That would be, nonfiction. And I always like Thomas Harris as an author as well. He did Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah. What
And,
about you, Joel?
Well, I enjoyed Ready Player One. That was a really good one, and that got turned into a movie later on. And so that was interesting. That was one of the few movies I saw where I read the book first. So that was interesting.
And so what do you, because people ask me all the time, does it matter if you read the book first? Do you like what you do first best? What do you think?
For Ready Player One, I like the book a lot more than the movie, but that was also because the book had so many details and so many little Easter eggs in it, because it was just a big pop culture book pretty much. And I almost felt like the movie had to be split up into three because the story was so detailed and so long, and they tried bunching it all into one, and it seemed like just too much to tackle almost in one movie. But yeah, I guess it just depends. It depends on the movie too. Some of the movies are really good, like
And
Lord of
some
the
aren't.
Rings and
Oh.
Harry Potter, but some of the books are way better than the movies. So
what I found, I read A World According to Garp, and then the movie had a wonderful cast in it with Robin Williams, John Lithgow, and the list goes on. But I didn't really like the book.
Oh, really?
I personally, no offense, I like that author, but I felt like it felt almost more like some kind of weird midlife crisis book going on. But the movie was exceptional. That's my book review
It's
for
an
the day.
ongoing discussion every year at the library. Oh, I saw the movie. I go, well, that doesn't mean you read the book, because it could be two different things.
Yeah, yeah. And the Silence of the Lambs is another one. I always loved that movie. I thought it was exceptional, and the book was really good as well. And they stayed pretty close on task, but you really got the true feel of the characters more in the book. You just couldn't get all that in the movie. Like Joe said, you would have had made like 3 movies.
Yeah. And I think it depends too on how active the author is in the selling the rights to the story to the screenplay writer. Because in some cases they just sell it and they lose all rights, and other times they hold on to some of those rights and have some say into how their story is projected onto a screen. So it's a fascinating industry, to tell you the truth, the whole publishing industry and how it turns to the movie industry. It's fascinating.
I do want to know more about what it's like being a librarian in a small town and a small community compared to a larger city.
Joe, that was a really great question. I've never been a librarian in a big city, so I don't know. I do have very good friends, though. In fact, I present nationwide about what it's like to be in a rural, small town library. And I present right next to someone who worked at the Chicago Public and who had 51 branches of the Chicago Public Library, where she provided children's services and family services to 52 locations in Chicago.
Wow.
So she and I were at a conference one time, and we just connected, and I don't know, I said a joke or something and she laughed at it, and we talked at lunchtime, and before you knew it, she was asking me to go with her to these national conferences and present right next to her, because the challenges that small town libraries face are very similar to what she was seeing in Chicago. And that is, a lot of it is transportation. A lot of kids can't get themselves to the library. Their parents work. It's not conducive to riding your bike into town. I grew up in Appleton. It was easy to get on my bike and go downtown to the library. It's a little bit harder when you're living in the country. The other parts are that I feel like I'm in a Waupaca is the special spot because we don't have any competing organizations. You know, we don't have a children's museum. We don't have a Boys and Girls Club. We don't have a YMCA. We don't have a zoo. We don't have a science museum. So all of these opportunities that are in big cities that kids have an opportunity to go and learn at, we don't have. And so what I'm seeing is a large portion of our population of families with younger children are looking for those opportunities right here in their backyard. And so the library can be that place for them to discover science, STEAM, like science, technology, engineering, and math. We're doing that all the time here at the library. We're throwing in arts to make it STEAM rather than art, STEM. And we talk about literacies, not in just reading, but math literacy. So as you come to the library on the sidewalks, you'll see math problems written on the sidewalks. We talk about literacies and the critical thinking skills that you need to make good decisions. And so we play games all the time at the library that are meant to help families learn about critical thinking skills. And that includes coding and all sorts of technologies. So while we don't officially have a maker space, we're making all the time here at the library. So I feel like being a librarian in a small town actually is very impactful. It's an impactful position to be in because we are the resource for out of school time learning in our community. And while Waupaca itself is 6,000 people, when you look at the service population of the townships around us, we're looking at 18,000 people. So it doesn't seem quite so small when you consider those numbers too.
So how do you get involved with the children's program? How does that work to get signed up for that? And also, if you're not in the Waupaca area, you can still be a part of the reading program. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. So a summer library program is provided to every resident of Wisconsin through their home libraries. However, you're not limited to just using your home library. You can go to any public library in Wisconsin and use that library. A theme is provided to us every year. This year's theme is All Together Now, which I love because it's all about collaboration and partnership. And that's exactly where we're headed in community building in Waupaca. Libraries can use it or go off on their own, but we usually stick with it and we use it for a whole year. So we've been saying All Together Now for since January. And they also provide us an online system of keeping track of your reading. And some libraries just keep track of reading and others do reading and activities, because for some kids, and like me, who wasn't a reader as a kid, a reading program would not have enticed me as a young person to keep learning. But activities, things I could go to, participate in, all hands on, that would appeal to me. So we offer 2 reading programs, one by counting books. If you read 50 books this summer, you complete the challenge and earn some prizes. Or you can count minutes. If you can get to 1,000 minutes this summer, then you earn your prize. And then there's a third program that you can join, and it's an activity. We give you 25 activities to do in Waupaca. And if you do 15 of the 25, you can earn a prize at the library. And there are activities like go on the painted mural scavenger hunt that we've got set up, or read outside for an hour, or visit a park. They're very simple to do, but they also get you out of the house and get you involved in the community. So we're excited to offer these, and you can find that information on our website. The program is called Bean Stack, and it is the online record keeping. And if you're not an online person and this is just too difficult for you, we'll help you get set up, or you can bring in, you can keep your records, your reading records on a piece of paper and bring it in. We're happy to enter that for you. There's no barriers. And of course, everything the library does is free and open to the public and available to anyone. So.
And Beanstack is the app.
Beanstack.
And you spoke of some prizes. What are some of the prizes for doing this?
Well, for children, we believe the best prize is another book. So we had a very generous donor who's given us thousands of dollars to buy brand new books for kids. So you're not getting books that someone else has discarded with their name in it, from To Billy from Grandma. You're not getting used books, you're getting brand new books, and they're popular books that kids like to read. For teens, is an airplane ride. So the EAA, they're partnering with the EAA chapter at the Waupaca airport, so kids can earn an airplane ride. If they complete the challenges, there's going to be a huge party at the end of the summer that they're going to be privy to coming to because they completed the challenge. For adults, they have all sorts of interesting things, from puzzles and book bags and coffee cups and coupons for the community that you can win. So there's also books, but it's a little harder to find enough books for adults because the interests are so varied.
For the first time ever on July 22nd, there's going to be a library Renaissance Fair day. Can you tell us more about what's going to happen there?
Some of the best ideas happen when you're just hanging around with friends and someone goes, wouldn't it be cool if we had a Renaissance fair? And the next thing you know, 5 minutes later, everybody's throwing out ideas of what we could do. And then you just make it happen. And that's exactly what happened. We were at my house for a holiday party over the Christmas, New Year's season. And we were playing Uno or something around my coffee table. And all of a sudden someone goes, let's have a Renaissance fair. And next thing you know, we're having one. We tried to do one major event out on the front lawn last year. We played Monopoly, life-size Monopoly, which was a lot of fun. But this year we're throwing a Renaissance fair, and it's going to be Saturday, July 22nd, all day long, with the library staying open a little longer that day so that we can celebrate it even more. And we've got a group coming from the Milwaukee area that travels with their Renaissance troupe, and they're going to kind of be the center of our celebration, but the library and the community organizations that are partnering with us are adding pieces to it. So there's going to be a falconer there talking about how they used to hunt using falconry. There's going to be someone talking about medieval weapons. There's going to be someone talking about the food they ate in medieval times. And then the library is going to throw some fun activities in there for kids, like castle building and jousting with swim noodles and a bouncy house shaped as a castle. And there's going to be calligraphy lessons and all sorts of, and maybe some kings and queens that were part of our madrigal singers might show up and grace us with their presence that day. So we're expecting it to be a lot of fun and a great draw to the downtown area.
You're not going to have real jousting?
Well, my first aid kit's kind of small.
Yeah. I don't know how
If
well that would work.
If I could get a sword and a stone to work and see if kids could try to pull the sword and the stone out, I thought that would be kind of cute too.
Oh yeah.
Are you gonna have any other classes, like stuff about plagues or anything?
Well, and I think we have some ideas out there. We're looking for some volunteers that'll help. We're going to try and make some chain mail, teach people how to make some chain mail. We're going to talk about for kids, how map making was back then. And so one of the activities is to take a handful of beans, dry beans, and drop them on a piece of paper and then outline where the beans landed, and that's your realm. But then you can decide where your castle's going to go, where your serfs are going to live, where your forests for hunting and your gardens are going to be. So we're going to talk a little bit about that with kids. So it's somewhat educational, and we'll have as the time gets closer, we'll be posting a full schedule out on our website. So watch for that, or on our Facebook page. So.
The Library Renaissance Fair will be on July 22nd in Waupaca, Wisconsin, on the front lawn at the Waupaca Area Public Library. and that'll be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that's a new event this year. So if you're in the central Wisconsin area, make sure to check that out.
Brown County Library in Green Bay is having this, either has had or just had or is going to have quickly this group come to their library. And that's the first time I've heard it happening in the area. I know that there's a big Renaissance fair that happens every summer in Bristol, which is down by between Milwaukee and Madison. And I know that I've been to one in Shakopee, Minnesota, which is quite a drive, but that one's really nice too. And they go for weekends for months. So it's a wonderful opportunity. This is our small town attempt at having a one-day event. So we'll see.
Are you going to offer anything like catapult rides or anything like that?
Hey, that would kind of be a good one, wouldn't it? Yeah, building a trebuchet or something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you volunteering, Tim?
No, I'm too old, but I'm sure there's plenty of younger people that would do it.
You might put your name out there, Joe, for the first
Yeah.
catapult ride.
See if I can get over to the library or not. But other than the Renaissance Fair, there's a lot of other events happening all summer. It's not just, a thing here and there. There's stuff happening every week, if not every day. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, between our three departments, we were pretty much covering the calendar like crazy. But new this year for our small town is putting in a splash pad. And that's going to be at our Swan Park, which is a great park for baseball, but now they're putting in a new playground and a splash pad, and that should be opening in another week or two. And why not capitalize on the crowd that's going to be waiting for the water to turn on? So we're going to have splash pad story time every Thursdays. Right before they turn the water on, we'll be out there with stories for small children. And when the water turns on, it's time for us to go back to the library and keep our books nice and dry. So watch for us in area parks. We're going to be at South Park and Riverside Park in the afternoons. We're going to be at community events like the community gardens, and we're having a special day at Turner's Farm Market, which is just outside of our town. We're going to be at the Lost Arts Festival at South Park. And every Wednesday there's an old car show right outside the library. And so often we will come out with our toys and games, and we'll be playing all sorts of fun stuff out on the front lawn. So one day this summer, we've got it scheduled where the local ping pong club is going to come and bring their tables and play ping pong with people. And other times it's going to be the disc golf, or maybe we'll do tie dyeing. In a couple of weeks, we're going to do some solar ovens out there because we're talking about solar energy, and we are talking about what sorts of environmental impacts solar energy can have in our future. So very exciting. So
yeah, just be clear, there's stuff for kids, teens, and adults. Just naming off some other things that you didn't even mention. There's outdoor movies at the Waupaca Airport. There are murder mystery parties for both teens and adults. There's writing clubs, Dungeons and Dragons, and adult Lego night at Hinder Brewing at H.H. Hinder, July 13th, 5 to 7 p.m.
But, we talked about how wonderful the library is. I don't think we mentioned just how vast and how big the children's part of it is. It's pretty much the whole downstairs, right? Yeah. And it's just massive, and it's for every age range. So
our building is 30 years old this year. We're going to have a little celebration this fall. And when they first opened it, when they were building it, the children's department was much smaller than it is now. And the stairway was very narrow, and someone came in and said, we got to change this. This stairway is going to be wider. We need more space for the kids. And they were very insightful, and I appreciate whoever that was saying it, because you're right. We have the entire lower level of the library. The section that I'm responsible for is birth through 5th grade, 6th grade. And then our teen room, our teen librarian Taylor Wilcox does an amazing job with 6th through 12th graders. and lots of programming. And she has a summer intern that helps her every summer. And Elena's here back from her first year at college and excited to do some programming with young people. So yeah, there's no reason to be bored in a small town like Waupaca.
Is there anything else that you want to cover, Sue, that I'm missing?
I just can't stress enough the fact that the library is here as public servants for the community, and our number one desire is to meet the needs of our community. So we're working hard on Spanish language conversation groups right now because the dynamics of our community is changing a little bit. So Tuesdays we have a Spanish language Como se dice, which is a conversation group. We have instituted a little free food pantry. A lot of people can't make it to the limited hours of the food bank. And so we have a closet that we weren't using that we have transformed into a food bank. So we really are becoming a spot of public service. When the job center closed, now the library is assuming the role of a job center. So we help people with resumes and job searches. The DMV doesn't print off any manuals anymore. So if you need a study guide to take a driver's test, you need to come to the library. And new services this fall expect to be able to get your passport at the public library. So we will become a passport agency so that people who can't make it to the courthouse before 4 o'clock on a weekday can actually either renew or apply for a passport. So a lot of services that are not traditional library services are going to be provided for us in a small town like Waupaca through the public library.
That's terrific. That is so cool that you guys do so much more than just, a normal library, pretty much. To have all those services, that a lot of that stuff is needed in small communities, and the library is a nice big hub to do that. So thank you again, Sue, for being on PodPaca today and telling us about the library, which is a resource that not only Waupaca citizens can use, but anyone. There's the Beanstack app you can download if you aren't in the Waupaca area, and you can be involved in this terrific program. Thank you, Sue, again for being on, and thank you for all your years of being a librarian and public servant to the community.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thanks.
People like you that make it, make Waupaca go. You know what I mean? So thank you for that.
Thank you for saying that. I'm passionate about Waupaca, and I'm serious. When I walk down the street, I'm just smiling. There's just this grin on my face. I just love it. And there's no place else on earth I would rather live than Waupaca. And some people think it's too small, but it's just right for me.